You're watching the latest news on AzVision TV with Leila Orujeva. Over the past 24 hours, Armenian armed forces have violated the ceasefire along the contact line between Azerbaijani and Armenian troops 102 times, reported the Ministry of Defense of Azerbaijan. Defense Minister Colonel General Zakir Hasanov and the leadership of the ministry visited military units stationed at the frontline zone.
Defense Minister Zakir Hasanov and ministry officials visited the military units at the frontline zone upon the instructions of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Ilham Aliyev. The minister carefully studied the units deployed on the defense line and the frontal positions of the enemy. Colonel General Hasanov also checked the combat readiness of the formations and military units. The ministry's leadership expressed satisfaction with the fighting capacity, logistics support, weapons, ammunition, and military equipment of the troops, as well as their moral psychological readiness. Addressing the defense minister, servicemen expressed their readiness to liberate the occupied territories in a short time.
The OSCE is expected to monitor the line of contact between Azerbaijani and Armenian troops tomorrow, says Azerbaijan's defense ministry. The monitoring is held under the mandate of the personal representative of the OSCE chairperson in office, this time in Fuzuli district. UNICEF has repeatedly stated that civilians, especially children and women, should not be harmed in any conflict, including the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, said Edward Karwadin, head of the UNICEF office in Azerbaijan, while asked to comment UNICEF's absent reaction to the death of 2-year-old Zehra as a result of ceasefire violation by Armenia. Karwadin says the parties involved in the conflict should do their best to protect children from violence.
UN Secretary-General has repeatedly called on the parties to the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict to work towards a peaceful solution. Therefore, I think that the conflicting parties should be more active in preventing such cases. There is a long, ongoing process for the peaceful settlement of the conflict. I think that the parties should make full use of this process to create conditions for peace by adhering to the adopted resolutions. UNICEF's position on this issue is very clear. I would like to reiterate that no child should suffer from conflict or become a victim of it. This is our official position, and we will continue to stand on it.
Nagorno-Karabakh is not a collective security treaty organization member, and therefore the organization will not provide military support to Karabakh separatists, said Anatoly Sidorov, chief of the CSTO Joint Staff. He noted that CSTO signed an agreement with Armenia and accordingly has certain commitments to Yerevan. However, the CSTO does not have the authority to intervene in a conflict without a request by the member country which is involved in a conflict, Anatoly Sidorov added. Chinese President Xi Jinping sent a condolence message to Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev. In his message, Chinese President offered his deepest condolences to all the victims on behalf of the Chinese government and the Chinese people. He also expressed his most sincere sympathies to the families of those deceased in the fire. Note that a Baku city resident has been detained as a suspect after the deadly fire that occurred at the drug rehab center on March 3rd, reads a joint statement of the Prosecutor General's office and the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Mohammad Mammadov is receiving treatment at the center under the diagnosis of alcohol-related psychological and behavioral disorders, the statement says. In his preliminary testimony, Mammadov said he attempted to commit suicide as a form of protest to his family members, as he did not want to be treated at the drug rehab center. These facts are confirmed by witness testimony and records from surveillance cameras installed at the center. According to the action plan for the preparations for the presidential elections to be held on April the 11th, the 7th of March is the deadline to make additional clarifications to voter lists submitted by the precinct election commissions to inform voters. The procedures by the Central Election Commission to approve requirements on preparing the procedure, texts, number of ballot papers should also wrap up tomorrow. Azerbaijani parliament has adopted a draft law on the free economic zone in Alat settlement in the second reading at a plenary session. The territory of the new Baku International Sea Trade Port is also included in the free zone. The new law has benefited from best practices worldwide and will regulate the activities of the zone. Based on the new law, a to-be-established executive body will oversee activities of legal entities and facilities operating in the FAZ. There will be a one-stop business service center and a separate customs body. Entrepreneurs operating in the free zone will enjoy tax exemption. Azerbaijan's state oil company SOCAR and the United Nations Development Programme signed a protocol on intentions in environmental protection in Baku. The document was signed by head of SOCA Rovnak Abdullayev and UN President Coordinator in Azerbaijan Gulam Isakzai. It lays grounds to continue cooperation between SOCA and the UN within the NAMA program, implemented since 2015, and making efforts to reduce carbon emissions. SOCA implements the NAMA project jointly with the Global Environment Facility and UNDP in 3 directions: to improve energy efficiency in buildings, switch to alternative fuel and accumulate associated gas in oil wells. The project will be completed in 2020. And that was all for today. Thank you for watching and don't miss tomorrow's news with my colleague Sabina Hasanova.